Welcome. It's Talking Shop, a series of fun conversations with consummate concert artists, composers, opera singers, and choreographers. Basically, some of my favorite people in the entire universe. Today, I'm so excited to have Damien Geter with us. Damien is an acclaimed American composer experiencing a meteoric rise. His works include chamber, vocal, orchestral, and full operatic works. He is an opera singer himself, and his credits include TV, as well as musical theater and the opera stage. He was recently recognized by the Library of Virginia with its honorary Patron of Letters degree, received the 2025 Strong Men and Women Award, and selected as a 2025 Bravo honoree by the Chesterfield Educational Foundation. Welcome, Damien. We're so glad to have you with us today.
Thanks, Lisa. It's good to be here. Appreciate you asking me to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to start off with the first question, the same question I ask all of my guests, which is what does being a composer, an opera singer, and a conductor mean to you personally?
Hmm. I mean, that's a lot of things in one. And they each have their own, they each fill a different need, right? I think. But it's just a privilege to be able to do these things and to make my living as a professional musician who is able to sort of do all the things that I love. And so, I mean, what does it mean to me? It means everything. I hope that doesn't sound too banal or even hyperbolic on the other end, but it is a privilege that I get to wake up every day and create music and try to make the world a more beautiful place.
Well, I think you're right. It's all those things.
Yeah.
And I love hearing everyone's answer to this question because everyone comes, to it from a different perspective. And I think it's just wonderful for our listeners to hear in your own words exactly, what it means to you. Would you tell us about your journey as a composer and an opera singer? How and when did you just know that you were meant to do this with your life?
I had an early passion for music that was sort of instilled in me as a young child, and I took piano lessons and organ lessons, actually organ lessons first, um, as a child. And from there, I was able to kind of start composing a little bit because there's improv involved with playing the organ.
Right.
And with that came the knowledge, or gave me the confidence to be able to create my own melodies and things like this. So that's sort of where it started. I didn't really take it seriously though. Probably not until I was a young adult. And the singing stuff happened because I always sang. I grew up in the church and I sang there. But opera was not really on my radar. But I had a teacher in undergrad who believed in me. And when she heard me sing the first time without any kind of training or whatever, she encouraged me to take lessons and stuff like that. So here we are.
And we're all glad she did because you have an amazing voice. I love hearing you sing. I've heard more of your compositions than I've heard you sing, but I want to hear more of your voice because it's amazing.
Thank
Um,
you.
you're welcome. Um, the Wall Street Journal describes your operas as emotionally driven. I think singing is such an emotional thing anyway. I also sing, and it's just, I think it's different than playing an instrument, another different kind of instrument, because the singing comes really from within your body, and that's just a whole different relationship in my view. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you carry your instrument with you, and however you feel that day is, what's going to come out.
Exactly, and that's what you have to deal with too. So, where does the emotion come from in your that you put into your opera compositions, and what kind of connection do you seek with your audiences through your opera works, whether it's composing or singing?
I mean, the emotion comes through the storytelling. So I'm a person who is really driven by the text, and so particularly for Loving versus Virginia, that libretto is full of high points of emotion, which I think is also the sort of point of opera to allow us to experience those high emotions, right? But the text in the story is what drives it. So I don't really have to do too much because a lot of the work is done for me. I just have to figure out musically how I want to portray those things. And I'm the type of composer where I like the music and the text to go together.
Yeah,
Um, so so that's sort of where all the emotion and stuff come. And it's opera. It has to have high stakes and
absolutely.
things like this. So and having performed operas and conducted operas, I've studied a lot of operas and sort of seen how the great composers of opera have done it. And so they were kind of my teachers as well. And the second part of your question was about connection to audience. What was it again?
Yeah, what's the kind of connection do you hope to achieve whether you're composing or singing opera? I know, two different things, right? But when you're composing an opera, are you thinking a little bit differently about what you want to say to the audience than you are when you're singing an opera? Maybe that's a better question to ask.
Mm. Honestly, I'm not really thinking about what I'm saying to the audience.
Okay.
I'm thinking about serving the art.
Yeah.
And if I do that, then it will reach the audience. But I'm not, when I'm writing music, I'm not seeking to connect with the audience. And so I'm actually not thinking about the audience at all. Because I think that, as I said, serving the art
Right.
and that will sort of take care of itself on its
Yeah.
own. I deal with stories that have, unless you have no heart,
Right.
stories that will touch the audience in some
hmm
way or
hmm
fashion.
Yeah, yeah. And opera has a tradition. I mean, one thing I love about opera, I don't know what made you really fall in love with it, but the drama and the, I guess, extreme emotional content really made me fall in love with it, and just the beauty of the music too. And I think just the connection of the words with the music and how it really portrays real situations in life, and all the the whole gamut of emotions and experiences that we all deal with from day to day. But it's
Hmm.
just, I mean, hopefully we don't deal with all of that in one day, but it's just the things that we deal with in our daily lives, and we see something like that portrayed on the stage in such a, I guess, a dramatic fashion. It really draws me in as an observer, as a listener, and also as a singer. I think it gives something to myself when I do that.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a microcosm for real life,
Yeah. Yeah.
it- it- some of the stories in operas are ridiculous and it's hard to find a connection, but a lot of them, there's a little piece of them that a lot of folks can relate to, particularly the Verismo art, operas and
Yeah,
the 20th century, 21st century stuff.
exactly. Well, that's perfect lead into our next topic that, I wanted to dig a little bit deeper into Loving versus Virginia, which honestly, it's one of the most powerful, brilliantly composed, staged, and performed operas I've ever seen. Um, I've just not really been able to let go of it. It's a life-changing experience, really. And I just want to thank you for bringing that. And we were talking about how opera reflects real life. That is a perfect example. That was a real story that really happened to people. Um,
Hmm.
can you talk a little bit about? I don't know whose idea it was to be in the beginning, whether it was your idea or you were asked to write this or you just wanted to write this, and can you talk about that? And I guess just dig a little deeper into that real life example and how it was, in your view, a perfect story to illustrate or to address through opera.
Well, Virginia Opera called me and asked if I would be interested in setting this story. So they came to me with the idea, which is great because trying to find a topic for an opera is very hard.
Yeah.
Um, and so, we just kind of went off from there. Um, this I said yes because it is right for the operatic stage. There is a lot at stake.
Hmm.
It fits right into my own philosophy of why I make art. Um, and it's a story that not a lot of people actually know about outside of the state of Virginia, is what I'm finding.
Yeah. Which is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was such an important story that led to, a lot of uh, changes that were positive changes. And a lot of folks take things today for granted, but don't realize that Loving v. Virginia was sort of the genesis of the reason why interracial couples get married, and same-sex couples can get married and things like this.
Mhm.
So for me, it was right for the operatic stage. It's just 21st century. I mean, it's a 20th century story, but what people are doing now is the opera composers that I know are writing stories that relate to recent times, even though this happened like 60 or like almost 60 years ago now.
Mhm.
That's still pretty recent.
It is.
So I said yes. And I know that, there was going to be a great deal of drama in that story, as well
Yeah,
as a great deal of love in the
yeah,
story.
yeah.
Um, and so those two things is a formula for a great opera.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I think it's a wonderful story, and I too am very surprised, at the lack of knowledge outside of the state of Virginia about this story. So I think that's one of the things that art can do for us. It can bring attention to things that don't maybe normally get noticed outside of certain circles.
Hmm.
And I love what you just said about your philosophy when you're making art. Would you tell us a little bit more about that philosophy?
I mean, not all of my pieces are like this, but I tend to write music that is socially justice based and comments on civil rights.
Mhm.
Again, not all of my music does that, but it's a way that I can contribute to certain causes. I write a lot about being a Black American, and I don't shy away from it. It's in my bio and all that stuff. So this is who I am as a composer, and I feel like one of the reasons why I started to take composing more seriously was because I could use this voice to kind of call to action with some of those causes.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I mean, several of your works, I guess, really address the social justice. Can you talk a little bit about some of those works and how, um, I don't know whether the particular message that you were trying to convey with each of those, um,
Hmm.
would you kind of list two or three of those works and talk a little bit about them for us?
Sure. African American Requiem, that's the one I can think of off the top of my head first, which Richmond Symphony is doing in January. And Chicago Phil is doing it here in Chicago in October. Um, I mean, it is a piece that I wrote after the election of 2016, and there were a lot of videos that were being captured of Black unarmed folks getting killed by the police. And this has been happening for I don't know how long, but now we have the technology to record it all, right? So there was a lot of that going on in the news. Politically, things were not lining up the way I line up, and I was really worried about what was going to happen in the country. So I decided to write the Requiem. Again, I didn't have the audience in mind when I was writing this piece. I just wanted to write a piece that was a dedication to folks who had been lynched in the United States.
Yeah,
So that's what the piece is.
yeah.
Um, Another piece, let me see. I wrote a piece called Cotton, which is a song cycle, um, which is based on these really beautiful images of cotton that were captured by a photographer named John Dowell, who lives in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And he superimposes them on modern landscapes. And the commentary is that he is saying how cotton has become the cash crop for this country and really sort of the thing that built this country.
Yeah.
A lot of people made a lot of money off of cotton, and a lot of people made a lot of money off of free labor. And so there were 8 poets that were commissioned to set the text to that. And at first, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to write a piece called Cotton. But once I learned who the poets were going to be, and I read some of the poetry, I thought, okay, this sounds like something I can get down with.
Yeah.
Um, and then sort of on the opposite end, I wrote a woodwind quintet called I Said What I Said, because I was tired of being asked to write pieces based on my perspective as a black person. If I want to do that and I make that choice, then that's fine. But I don't want other people wanting me to do that. So I wrote that piece, and it's basically is saying, stop asking me to do that. I
Yeah.
said what I said, and that's it.
I like that. I like that a lot. I seem to recall, I hope I'm getting the title right and don't embarrass myself, but there's a piece that was commissioned, I believe, by our symphony called Symphonia Americana. Is that right?
hmm
Yeah, and I still have that score. We're lucky enough to get a copy of the score and get you to sign it. It's so wonderful, and it's very prominently displayed in our home.
Oh,
But
nice.
would you talk about that piece too a little bit?
Symphony Americana, it's not directly socially justice related. Th that piece, I'm sort of experimenting with the American sound, whatever that is.
Uh-huh.
And I think by virtue of me being an American, it has an American sound, but also I think it really does sort of delve into that landscape a little bit. And also, Copeland kind of defined the American sound, I think, but I think it's based on the perspective of a white man.
Right, right.
And it doesn't include other cultures. So that's the part that that's sort of social justice adjacent, I
Yeah,
should say.
yeah. Let's talk about your other works a little bit. What are some of the other works and the themes that I guess are most precious to you that you write about outside of maybe the social justice area?
Mm, I mean, I wrote a piece called Neo Soul, which is a string quartet that I really like, which is kind of an ode to the genre neo soul. I really love that piece. I wrote a piece called Cantata for a More Hopeful Tomorrow, which is a choral piece that was written during the pandemic. That is that was commissioned by the Washington Chorus, and they made a video that sort of went along with the music. So
Yeah,
the music came first, and then they made the video.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I like that piece. It's sort of an ode to Bach in a way because of a cantata that he wrote called Weinen, Sorgen, Sagen, which is a sort of um, chronological, l- a linear line from despair to hope. And I feel like that's kind of the place that we were living at that time.
Exactly.
I wrote a piece for Chicago Symphony called Chiaroscuro, which I really love. It's like a 2-minute piece
Mhm.
that is unlike anything I've ever written before. Again, I'm just always experimenting. So
Yeah, yeah. So what do you particularly love about that piece? You said that you really love that piece. What's really special about that piece?
because it's unlike anything I've ever heard. That
Yeah,
not that I've ever heard that I've ever written before. It's,
yeah.
it's atonal and
A little bit out of your box, I guess.
yeah, very direct and I'm playing a lot more with textures and I'm not thinking so much about melodies
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah. How do you so, as a composer myself, there are works that just kind of come out of me. And then, of course, there are commissions that you get, which are kind of take a little bit of the choice out of it. How how does that work for you? I mean, obviously you're composing things that you just want to write too, in addition to the commissions. And I guess this may sound like a little bit of a strange question, but I'm thinking, I have a little bit of a different feel about pieces that I'm writing that just emanate from myself. And then pieces that people ask me to write. I still love writing, commission work, but do you see what I'm asking? Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I think I know what you're asking. So I don't actually um so when I get a commission, it's oftentimes the presenter is saying you can write whatever you want.
Okay.
Um, and it's sort of limited in certain ways. For example, I'm writing a piano concerto for Oakland Symphony, and they said, "What do you want to write?" And I said, "How about a piano concerto?" And they said, "Okay, hope that's great. We were kind of hoping you would say something along those lines, something with soloists." Um, and then other times I get commissions, and they say, "This is what we want. This is the instrumentation." And I don't It is different when you're writing a piece just to write it
Yeah.
versus when you have a lot of stipulations
Yeah.
involved. The
Yeah.
Requiem I wrote, it was commissioned after the fact I said I was going to write it, so I didn't have any stipulations at all. I just wrote whatever I wanted. It is different,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you can use your knowledge as a composer and do the thing that you were sort of that you were hired to do, instead of somebody saying, okay, you can do this, but you can only use this and this and this.
Right.
So it's like you're taking some of the tools out of your box rather than using the tools that you want to use.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. What about musical theater? Tell us about your experiences there and what you love about it, and how active are you in that at the moment?
I've been in a couple musicals, but I haven't been in any lately. I would love to write a musical one day. I don't have time right now.
Yeah.
But that's a different horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally different lane to be functioning through. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be exciting. I would love to hear you write one too, and go see it. And then your TV work. That sounds like a lot of fun that's going on in that area of your life.
Yeah, I don't do so much of that anymore. I did a couple shows and it was fun. But it's not something that I'm actively pursuing now. It's a
Yeah.
lot of, it's a lot of time, and you got to do auditions and do self-tapes, and I just don't feel like doing all that.
It's okay. Exactly. Exactly. I think it's wonderful. One thing I love about seeing your work is that, you try a lot of different things. And I think that, I guess we all do that to an extent, but, finding out what you like to do best and then being able to settle into that one area that, kind
Mhm.
of is our home place, our niche, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to write for film and TV one day.
Yeah,
That'll
yeah,
be cool.
I think that would be really fun. Um, so I've been asking lately a question about the future of the arts, and I guess as far, there are many aspects we could talk to, about in regarding answering that question, but because there are things going on now that may change that future in ways that we're not particularly happy about. But as far as just people's interest in the arts, I guess, people's interest in classical music, people's interest in opera, all of those things. You hear talk about, well, it's a dying thing, all this kind of thing. I don't really feel that way. I wanted to hear what you thought about that, and what do you think? I see a lot of young people really, I think, coming to the arts and really being excited about the arts. So I don't know if you were seeing that and how you felt about the vision of the future.
Hmm. I don't know what my answer is. I think if you had asked me a year ago, I would say, "Oh no, the arts are going, they're strong, and we don't have anything to worry about." I don't know if I feel that way today. I do worry about them.
Yeah,
I think that my view is a little rose-colored because a lot of my friends are in the arts. The things I go to are in the arts. So I see people going, but when I talk to my friends who are not in the arts, I've asked a couple of them why they don't go to the opera or why they don't go to, a classical music concert. And they're like, well, first of all, it costs too much.
yeah.
And second of all, I mean, there's nothing that we can really relate to. There's
Hmm.
an elitism that they feel. And these are people who they know what I do and they respect it and all that stuff, but they don't come to things. And I mean, that's fine. I actually like having friends who are not in the arts. Um,
Yeah.
and there's this feeling of elitism that two of them have said. I haven't asked all my friends, but um, and I work at an opera company, now, and I see some of the struggles that happen there, and I hear about other companies that are struggling, not just in opera, symphonic world, and when people ask me to write music and then we start talking about fees and things like this and like the fees ain't what they used to be, you know, people don't have money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope they'll be okay. But then at the same time, I look at the crop of talent that's coming out, that is out now, and the folks who are coming up. That's when I start to have a little bit of hope. But I just hope that the work is there to support the folks who are in it. Because I mean, let's face it, those of us who have gotten this far, it's because of luck, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, hard work, talent, and all that good stuff too, but it's really luck.
Yeah.
because there are a lot of talented people out there, a lot of folks who work hard. I have friends who are composers who have never had a professional orchestra play their piece.
Yeah.
Um, so I sort of went off on a tangent there, but
Okay. That's,
so I don't know. I wish I had a crystal ball to say that everything was great. In the visual art world, I feel like it might be a little bit better. I
uh-huh.
I collect art,
Yeah.
uh, so
Yeah.
I kind of live in that world a little bit, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well,
And I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like some of the folks running these things are not smart.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I know the Mets over the years has been trying to make opera more accessible, a little bit more affordable. I know here at the Richmond Ballet, we're starting some programs that make it, more accessible. You mentioned, it's expensive. I think we're instituting some programs that, Ballet for All, that make it more accessible and affordable for people to come. But I also feel that maybe, the mixing of genres, I see a lot of that, especially jazz and some musical theater elements within the classical. Um, I'm hoping, I see a lot of young people like you do, very, very talented young people, and it seems like more and more are enrolling, in programs to live this kind of life, or at least have it be part of their life. But I don't know, there's a lot of crossover, musical theater, that kind of thing. I don't know if that can just kind of keep the interest alive, or and what I see there is I see some, maybe possibly some creation of new forms, of these
Hmm.
genres. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, sure, you do the musical theater piece and get the folks there, but then what? How do
Yeah.
you keep them there? That's the question.
Well, that is the question. I guess, I'm talking about several opera singer friends of mine, cross over and do, some musical theater type things. So I
Hmm.
don't know if that kind of takes over or if they, do some of both. But and that's a question.
Yeah.
It's obviously a question nobody can really answer, but
Well, I think you have to do more than one thing. You
yeah,
cannot just, I don't think you can just be a sort of a one note Johnny, whatever that saying is,
exactly.
person, anymore. You have to diversify your skills.
Yeah.
If I were just singing opera, I would not be able to support myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a sad statement. So I'm really glad that you are doing things that are, you know, support that you're finding to that you're able to make a living with. I think that's really inspiring and encouraging
Hmm.
for a lot of people. I mean, in my view, Damien, I mean, your rise has just been, prolific and meteoric. And um, I know you're just such a grateful, grounded person. But how do you deal with, this sudden real rise in your, you've won all these awards. I mean, this is such fantastic stuff. How do you keep yourself grounded as you become more accomplished and your body of work grows?
Oh, it's easy. I can win all the awards, and first of all, I don't put a lot of stock in awards. I think they're nice to have, but if I never got an award, that would be fine.
Sure.
I feel like I just stay grounded.
Yeah,
I don't let anything get to my head. I'm sort of even kill anyway. So even the bad stuff, the good stuff.
yeah,
Not that I don't celebrate the good stuff that happens. I just think that I just have a natural disposition to just kind of just stay grounded because, you know, not that I want any of it to stop, but I know that it could stop at any minute.
sure. That's a
And
reality we all live with, absolutely.
yeah, and
Yeah,
like I said before, I'm just lucky to be here.
yeah,
Um and that's I don't think I'm greater than anybody else. There are way I can think of 1,000 better composers than me. And I just happened to be at the right place at the right time.
yeah.
And
And that's a lot of it. You're right.
yeah,
Um, Talk to me about I guess a little bit more about your formative years. I mean, is your family musical, or, what was
yeah,
your life like growing up? Did you have a lot of different types of musical influences, or
yeah. My whole family's musical. My mom, she passed away now, but she sang in the church, and I think a lot about this actually. My grandma lived with us and she played the piano.
Yeah,
My dad can sing, and he had a huge record collection that was all kinds of music. So music was always in the house.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I can't remember a time where there was not music around.
yeah, yeah. That's great. Um, what other types of music do you like besides opera and symphonic and
Oh, when I'm not listening to that, I like R&B.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
too. I do too. Um,
I will say I like anything that's good, but my go-to is R&B.
yeah, yeah. I'm totally with you there. I grew up in Memphis. I don't know if I told you that.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of a natural connection there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing so many wonderful things. Are there some pretty exciting, really exciting things that are coming up for you that you want to tell us about?
Um, I mean, next year I have a Carnegie Hall debut. I can't really give all the details yet because they haven't announced.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, the piano concerto will happen in the 26, 27 season. Excited about that. I'm writing a string quartet for Belvedere series in Richmond, actually.
Can't wait for that either. Yeah, that's going to be great.
Yeah. Just lots of music director at Portland, you know.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you
Uh,
were just recently appointed music director for the Portland Opera, right?
yep.
Yeah.
So,
So
you
tell us
know,
more about that. Yeah.
yeah, I was interim for a few years and then they just, you know, finally made me music director. I
Yeah.
shouldn't say.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So tell us, yeah, what exactly does a music director for an opera company do?
Conduct shows, rehearse orchestra, help with auditions, help with casting, help with selecting shows,
Okay, so
stuff like that.
programming, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, it sounds fascinating. It's, to look at your bio, you have so many things going on at once. It'd be easy for one to see, how does he do all that stuff? But it's kind of all of the same thing, just different sides of it.
Yeah, I don't do it all at the same time.
Yeah.
I used to, and I just can't do that anymore. So
Yeah.
I space my calendar out so I'm not doing everything at the same time.
Probably healthier for you. And I find kind of ironically that when I really take care of myself, I'm much more productive anyway. So that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, I really appreciate your being with us today. It's been really fun getting to hear about a little bit about your life and what you're doing and what's behind it all. And we've really enjoyed having you on Talking Shop. So
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me. It's always nice to talk to you.
yeah, absolutely. Always great to talk to you too. That's it for our episode today. I hope you'll join us in our next Talking Shop, and we'll see you then.